Welcome to the Third Win channel. Today we're going to be doing Group C for the Euro 2021. This is our third video. We've done Group A and Group B. And before I continue, I just like to say that this video, this group in particular, is quite difficult. I think that really any of the teams could get through the knockout stages, but let's try to make a prediction here. So here is our full wall chart. Let's zoom into Group C. Here we go. We got Netherlands, Ukraine, Austria, and Macedonia, or North Macedonia, I should say. And then our first team profile before, and let me mention, we're going to be going through the scores. So we're going to be giving the score for each of these games, and then we're going to be adding up the points, and then we're going to be seeing who's going through. But before that, I'll give you guys a little team profile for each of the teams. We'll go through these real quick. Netherlands, number 16 in the world, according to FIFA World Rankings. And here on the right, you can see their most recent lineup. And on the left, you can see their most recent results. They tied against Bosnia, tied against Italy, won against Bosnia, won against Poland, lost to Turkey, won against Latvia with a fairly small margin for a team like Latvia, won against Gibraltar, tied against Scotland, and won against Georgia. These scores, they tell me that they're not super consistent. Like it seems like they have their good days and their bad days, but they can compete with just about any team. They have a good striking force. They can score many goals against weaker squads. And against squads like Italy or Turkey, you have a real game with many goals. Looking at the team, it's going to depend a lot on if we have Virgil van Dijk back in the defense, because then if we do, then they have one of the better defenses in the tournament. And in terms of their attack, I think it's very dependent on just the performance of some key individuals like Memphis Depay and Wijnaldum. But let's move on. Second team profile, we got Ukraine, number 24 in the world, according to FIFA. On the right, we see a recent match. On the left, we see some results. They've recently been in like the top Nations League group, so they've played against teams like Germany, Spain. They beat Spain. They lost to Germany twice. They lost to Switzerland pretty hard. They tied to France, the defending champion for the World Cup. They tied to Finland. They tied to Kazakhstan, tied to Bahrain, and beat Northern Ireland. What I'm not so happy with here, looking on the left, is that they don't score very many goals. Like, they might win games, but they're like one goal over, like almost all of these. They beat Cyprus pretty hard, but Cyprus isn't very good. So that's something to note. They might be a decent team, but they're not scoring enough. And also, what's interesting is they're putting SHEVCHENKO up here, playing like almost as an attacker, where usually he plays back here as a defender. I just wanted to point that out. That means they're probably lacking quality in the attacking part of the field. Moving on, we have Austria, number 23 in the world, one better than Ukraine. In terms of the results, I think it's pretty similar to Ukraine. The only difference is I think their defense is weaker. But maybe they score a few more goals here and there. But losing to Denmark 4-0 is quite tough. Although they keep their net fairly clean against England and Slovakia. They would play 1-1 against Norway, and Norway is not very good right now, even though they have star players. 1-1 is eh. And I've watched some games with Austria recently, and I wasn't too impressed. Like, they're solid, but they're not amazing. Moving on, we have North Macedonia, which I think I can confidently say is the lowest ranked team in the world rankings. But if we look at their results, they score quite a few goals. They're winning 5-0, 2-1, losing 3-2, beat Germany 2-1. Like, what's going on there? Beat Kazakhstan 4-0. Like, this is a team that scores a lot of goals and honestly doesn't slip that many in. Like, yes, they play against Romania, losing 3-2. That's a bit tough. But honestly, this is looking kind of good. But I can't really get myself to take North Macedonia seriously, although I've only seen 1 or 2 games of them. But I'm excited to see that they're like a dark horse, which is so hard to predict. I don't know. This makes this so much more difficult. But getting to the results, like I mentioned, let's go through the games and what I think the results will be. For the first game, I think Netherlands beats Ukraine. I think it's a tough one, but I think Ukraine will struggle to score goals and Netherlands will not. And ultimately, that will be the difference. Next, we got Austria, North Macedonia, and I think that Austria are going to have a tough time against North Macedonia. At first, maybe they'll come behind, but towards the second half, their consistency will show. North Macedonia's defense will get a little weaker, and they're going to slip in some goals, so they're going to win 3-2. Then we got Netherlands against Austria, and again, Austria is going to struggle against these tougher teams to score. Maybe they'll play solid, but they just won't have enough goals. And Netherlands, again, will not struggle with that. They'll win 2-1, just enough to get them the 3 points. I think Ukraine beats North Macedonia. I think the Ukraine's strategy against them will be to just play very passing football, hold their solid defense. And North Macedonia will get that sneaky 1 goal, as they usually do, but they'll still end up losing to Ukraine. And I think Netherlands crushes North Macedonia, especially with Virgil van Dijk. I think they still sneak a goal in somehow, but yeah, they're going to start panicking because they realize that this is their last chance to qualify, and that Netherlands slips in a bunch of goals. And lastly, and I think the most important game of this group, Ukraine-Austria, I see going to Ukraine. I think Austria is just not going to get that goal they need, and just maybe Austria will be like the team that pushes, but just when they start to panic and realize that they're not, they need something more to qualify, maybe they'll slip up on their defense and Ukraine will score 1-0. All of this is predictions, and this is the toughest group so far to predict, but looking at these scores, our table looks like this. North Macedonia, 0 points. I think they could easily pull off 3 points somehow, or maybe 1, but qualification, I don't know. Numbers, I just don't see it quite. Austria, they could totally qualify either through the 3rd place. 4 teams qualify through 3rd place finishes out of the 6 groups, and they could totally get 2nd place, or miraculously maybe 1st. I just don't quite see it. They don't score enough goals to be a top Euro contender to me, although Portugal did a number last Euro, but we're not going to talk about that now. Next, we got Ukraine with 6 points, but it's all about that Ukraine-Austria game. So we'll see how that goes. But I think Ukraine scores a little more goals, and 6-3, 6 points for them sounds about right. And topping the group, we have Netherlands, but they could easily get through maybe 6 points and something happens, or they get a tie. But I think they're still getting through the group, but I also think they're going to win the group. They just have the most solid combination of attack and defense in the group, in my opinion. But that means, yes, Netherlands goes through, Ukraine goes through, and Austria very possibly gets a 3rd place qualification. I don't think North Macedonia are making it out of this group. But that being said, that is the Group C. I tried to make this one quick for you guys. It was tough to predict. Let me know what you guys think, because I'm a little bit confused on this group. And check out our Group A and Group B videos, and stay tuned for Group D tomorrow. And subscribe for more Euro content. I'll see you guys soon.